Have you ever spoken passionately, only to realize no one was actually listening? It's frustrating, and far more common than you might think. The secret to being heard isn't shouting louder or using fancy words. It's strategy. Speaking so people listen requires understanding your audience, crafting a clear and focused message, and delivering it in a way that feels natural, relatable, and engaging. In this guide, you'll discover step-by-step techniques to structure your speech, connect emotionally, and make your words memorable. By mastering these strategies, you won't just communicate. You'll influence, inspire, and leave a lasting impression every time you speak. Step 1. Be clear about your message. Once you understand your audience, the next crucial step is to be crystal clear about the message you want to convey. Clarity is the backbone of effective communication. Without it, even the most passionate speaker can fail to make an impact. Being clear doesn't mean oversimplifying your ideas. It means structuring your thoughts in a way that your audience can easily understand, follow, and remember. Start by defining the core idea of your speech. Ask yourself, what is the single most important point I want my listeners to take away? This central idea should guide everything you say, ensuring that every example, story, or explanation reinforces it rather than distracting from it. Ambiguity is the enemy of engagement. When people don't grasp your message quickly, they stop listening or mentally drift away. Organization plays a vital role in clarity. Human brains are wired to recognize patterns, so presenting your ideas logically makes them easier to process. You might choose a problem-solution structure, a chronological sequence, or a cause and effect flow depending on the nature of your message. Each section of your speech should flow naturally into the next, with clear transitions that signal to your audience that a new point is coming. Another key factor in clarity is language. Avoid jargon, overly technical terms, or convoluted sentences unless you are confident your audience understands them. Simplicity is powerful. Using everyday words, relatable examples, and concise explanations ensures your ideas are accessible to everyone. Analogies and metaphors are particularly effective because they translate complex concepts into familiar terms, making your message more tangible and memorable. Repetition is another tool for clarity. Reinforcing your core message at strategic points in your speech helps your audience internalize it without feeling bored. For example, briefly summarizing the main idea after a story or using slightly different phrasing for key points can strengthen understanding and retention. Clarity also extends to nonverbal communication. Your tone, pace, and emphasis guide listeners' attention and highlight the importance of certain ideas. Speaking too quickly, using monotone delivery, or failing to pause at critical moments can obscure your message, no matter how well it is structured. Finally, checking for understanding is essential. Observing your audience's reactions, asking subtle questions, or inviting brief feedback allows you to gauge whether your message is landing. If confusion arises, clarify immediately rather than assuming comprehension. Clear communication is not only about what you say, it's about how effectively your audience can process, understand, and retain your ideas. When you master clarity, your words don't just reach ears, they resonate, influence, and create action. This step transforms your speech from a simple exchange of information into a powerful vehicle for connection and impact. Step 2. Speak with confidence. After understanding your audience and clarifying your message, The next critical step is to speak with confidence. Confidence is not about dominating a room, shouting louder, or acting overly self-assured. It's about projecting authenticity and conviction in a way that makes your audience trust and engage with you. When you speak confidently, people are more likely to believe in your ideas, take your points seriously, and remain attentive throughout your talk. Confidence signals to your listeners that your message is worth hearing, and it naturally commands respect without needing to be forceful. True confidence starts with preparation. Knowing your material inside out removes uncertainty and allows you to focus on delivery rather than trying to recall facts. Practicing your speech multiple times helps smooth out awkward phrasing, improves timing, and builds internal assurance. Visualization is another powerful tool. Imagine yourself delivering the speech successfully, capturing attention, and eliciting positive reactions. This mental rehearsal prepares your mind to stay calm, focused, and assertive in real scenarios. Confidence is also reflected in your voice. A steady, clear, and well-modulated tone communicates authority and credibility. Avoid mumbling, excessive filler words like or or speaking too fast, as these undermine perceived confidence. Pausing strategically before or after important points not only emphasizes your ideas but also shows control and poise. Body language is equally critical. Your posture, gestures, and facial expressions reinforce what you are saying. Standing tall, making eye contact, and using open gestures signal assurance and invite engagement. Avoid closed postures, such as crossed arms or slouched shoulders, which can communicate hesitation or insecurity. Additionally, confidence is amplified when paired with authenticity. People respond to speakers who are genuine, passionate, and relatable. Being honest about your experiences, admitting small mistakes, or sharing vulnerabilities can paradoxically make you appear more confident because it shows self-awareness and integrity. Emotional preparation is another dimension of confident speaking. Many people feel nervous or anxious before speaking, and that is natural. Learning to manage these emotions through deep breathing, mindfulness, or grounding techniques allows you to channel nervous energy into enthusiasm rather than tension. Confidence is not the absence of nervousness. It's the ability to move forward despite it. Furthermore, confident speakers actively engage with their audience, adapting their tone, pace, and energy based on real-time feedback. If you sense boredom, confusion, or distraction, adjust dynamically to regain attention. Ultimately, confidence transforms your speech from mere words into a compelling presence. It builds trust, attracts attention, and amplifies the impact of your message. By preparing thoroughly, using controlled body language, modulating your voice, and projecting authenticity, you create an invisible force that draws listeners in, making them eager to hear what you have to say. Confidence is the bridge between clarity and connection. It ensures that your carefully crafted message does not just reach the audience, but resonates and inspires action. Mastering this step turns ordinary speakers into leaders, influencers, and memorable communicators. Step 3. Use stories and examples. One of the most powerful ways to make people listen and remember what you say is through storytelling. Facts, statistics, and instructions can convey information, but stories create connection. Humans are naturally wired to respond to narratives. Our brains are more engaged when ideas are presented in a story rather than in abstract terms. Stories evoke emotions, create mental images, and help your audience relate to your message on a personal level. When used effectively, stories transform a simple speech into an experience that captivates attention and leaves a lasting impression. Using examples is just as crucial as storytelling. Abstract ideas often fail to land because listeners struggle to visualize or understand them. Concrete examples turn theoretical concepts into something tangible. For instance, instead of saying, "Effective teamwork improves productivity," you might share a story of a real team overcoming challenges and achieving exceptional results. This not only clarifies your point, but also makes it memorable. Similarly, anecdotes from personal experiences create authenticity, showing your audience that you understand the subject deeply and have lived it yourself. Relatable stories or examples also help bridge the gap between you and your listeners, making them feel seen, understood, and engaged. Timing and relevance are key when incorporating stories and examples. Every story should reinforce your main message, not distract from it. Avoid long tangents or irrelevant anecdotes, as they can break attention and dilute your impact. Instead, select stories that highlight a lesson, illustrate a principle, or demonstrate a point in a clear and concise way. A compelling story typically has a beginning that sets the context, a middle that presents a challenge or conflict, and an end that delivers a resolution or insight. This structure keeps listeners engaged and allows them to follow your narrative without confusion. Delivery is another crucial factor. The way you tell a story can make it more or less engaging. Use expressive language, vary your tone, employ pauses for suspense, and emphasize key moments. Small details, like gestures, facial expressions, and changes in pacing, can dramatically increase the impact of your story. Additionally, ask rhetorical questions or include interactive elements within your examples to make your audience mentally active rather than passive. Engagement increases retention, which means your message is more likely to be remembered long after the speech ends. Finally, combining stories and examples with emotional resonance is essential. People are not moved by data alone. They respond to feelings, experiences, and human truths. By tapping into emotions like curiosity, empathy, excitement, or even humor, you ensure that your message leaves a lasting imprint. Every story or example should aim to create a connection between your ideas and your audience's experiences. When you master storytelling and the strategic use of examples, your speech evolves from mere information sharing into an immersive, memorable experience. It becomes not just heard, but felt, remembered, and acted upon. Step 4. Master your tone and pace. Once you've clarified your message, spoken with confidence, and incorporated stories and examples, the next critical step is mastering your tone and pace. The way you speak, the rhythm, speed, and emphasis, can dramatically influence how your audience perceives and absorbs your message. Even the most insightful content can lose impact if delivered monotonously, too quickly, or without proper emphasis. Tone and pace are not just stylistic choices. They are tools that guide your listeners' attention, create emotional resonance, and ensure that your message is memorable. Tone refers to the emotional quality and attitude embedded in your voice. A warm, enthusiastic, and passionate tone engages the audience, making them feel your energy and investment in the topic. Conversely, a flat or mechanical tone can make even an exciting idea seem dull. Matching your tone to the content and context is essential. For example, when discussing a serious issue, A calm and measured tone signals credibility and thoughtfulness, while moments of excitement or inspiration call for a more energetic and dynamic delivery. Tone conveys not only information, but also your attitude, credibility, and emotional alignment with the message, which strongly affects how your audience responds. Pace is equally important. Speaking too quickly overwhelms listeners, causing them to miss key points or feel mentally exhausted. Speaking too slowly, on the other hand, risks boredom and disengagement. The ideal pace allows your audience to process information comfortably, anticipate key points, and reflect on what you are saying. Strategic variation of pace can be used to emphasize important ideas. Slowing down during critical moments draws attention, while a slightly faster pace during explanatory sections maintains energy and flow. Pauses are also a powerful element of pacing. A well-placed pause can highlight a crucial point, give listeners time to absorb information, or create suspense before a key insight. Silence, when used intentionally, communicates confidence, control, and thoughtfulness. In addition, mastering tone and pace involves attention to vocal dynamics. Varying pitch, volume, and inflection keeps your speech engaging. A monotonous delivery signals boredom and reduces retention, whereas subtle rises and falls in pitch create a sense of movement and interest. Emphasizing certain words or phrases helps highlight the most critical parts of your message, guiding listeners to remember them. Listening to skilled speakers and practicing modulation can help you internalize these techniques. Finally, tone and pace are closely connected to emotional engagement. People respond not just to what you say, but to how you say it. Matching your delivery to the intended emotion, whether excitement, concern, curiosity, or empathy, enhances connection and ensures your message resonates deeply. By consciously controlling your tone and pace, you transform your speech from simple information delivery into an experience that captures attention, conveys emotion, and leaves a lasting impression. Mastery of this step ensures that your audience not only hears your words, but feels and remembers them. Step 5. Practice active listening. Effective communication is a two-way process, and one of the most powerful yet often overlooked skills is active listening. Many speakers focus solely on delivering their message, assuming that speaking well is enough to capture attention. However, true influence comes when you engage with your audience by listening as much as you speak. Active listening allows you to understand your audience's needs, concerns, and reactions in real time, enabling you to adjust your message for maximum impact. Without it, even the clearest and most confident speech risks falling flat because it fails to resonate with the people you are trying to reach. Active listening starts before you speak. Pay attention to your audience's body language, expressions, and energy levels. Are they leaning forward, nodding, or maintaining eye contact? Or are they distracted, fidgeting, or showing signs of confusion? These cues provide critical feedback that helps you tailor your delivery. For instance, noticing puzzled expressions might signal the need to slow down, rephrase, or offer an example. Observing engagement levels also allows you to highlight key points strategically, repeating or emphasizing ideas that may need reinforcement. During a speech or conversation, active listening involves being fully present. Avoid thinking ahead to your next sentence or getting distracted by internal thoughts. Focus on what your audience is signaling, both verbally and non-verbally. Reflect on questions, comments, or subtle reactions, and respond thoughtfully. Incorporating small acknowledgments, such as nodding, brief verbal affirmations, or paraphrasing a listener's point, demonstrates empathy and shows that you value their input. This creates a sense of connection and trust, making people more receptive to your message. Asking questions is a vital part of active listening. Open-ended questions encourage participation and show that you care about the audience's perspective. For example, after presenting an idea, you might ask, "How do you think this approach could apply to your situation?" Or, "Does anyone see a challenge I might have missed?" These questions prompt reflection and engagement, transforming a one-sided talk into a dynamic, interactive experience. Listening carefully to the responses allows you to adapt, clarify, or expand your points in a way that directly addresses their concerns. Active listening also strengthens your credibility. When people feel heard, they are more likely to trust you and value your message. It demonstrates humility, awareness, and the ability to connect, which makes your communication more persuasive and memorable. It's a skill that extends beyond formal speeches, into meetings, interviews, presentations, and everyday conversations, where genuine listening separates effective communicators from average ones. Finally, active listening encourages continuous improvement. By observing how audiences react, noting patterns in questions or misunderstandings, and reflecting on feedback, you refine your communication style over time. It's a feedback loop that enhances clarity, engagement, and impact. In essence, speaking so people listen is not just about talking. It's about listening, understanding, and responding intelligently. Mastering active listening transforms your interactions from monologues into meaningful dialogues, ensuring your message lands, resonates, and inspires action. Step 6. Ask questions and involve people. One of the most effective ways to make sure people truly listen is to actively involve them through questions and engagement. Communication becomes impactful when those you are speaking to feel included and mentally invested in the conversation. Questions are more than tools to check understanding. They spark curiosity, create dialogue, and maintain attention throughout your talk. By inviting participation, listeners transform from passive recipients into active participants who are far more likely to remember and internalize your message. Asking questions starts with preparation. Identify points in your speech where it makes sense to encourage reflection, discussion, or feedback. These could be moments when a concept is complex, a challenge is introduced, or a key insight is presented. For instance, after explaining a strategy, you might ask, "How would you apply this in your own work or life?" Or, "Has anyone faced a similar situation?" Open-ended questions work best because they encourage thinking, reflection, and meaningful responses, unlike yes-no questions that risk shutting down interaction. Interactive techniques go beyond verbal questions. You can ask people to raise hands, vote on an idea, or briefly discuss concepts with the person next to them. Even small moments of participation break monotony and re-engage attention. When people are prompted to think, respond, or contribute, their minds become actively involved, making the information more likely to stick. These interactions also allow you to gauge understanding in real time. Noticing hesitation, confusion, or thoughtful pauses signals where clarification or elaboration may be needed. Engaging people this way also builds connection and respect. When participants feel that their input and perspectives matter, they are more receptive to your message. Interaction humanizes the speaker, creating a sense of collaboration rather than one-sided instruction. This naturally increases focus, trust, and attention throughout the talk. Moreover, it injects energy and momentum into your speech. Active participation keeps engagement high, prevents distraction, and creates a dynamic flow that makes your points resonate more effectively. Equally important is listening carefully to the responses. Observe both verbal feedback and nonverbal cues, and respond thoughtfully. Summarizing or reflecting on contributions shows that you value participation and reinforces key ideas. Linking these responses back to your main points strengthens comprehension and retention. Finally, involving people in this way improves long-term recall. Information that is actively processed and discussed is far more likely to be remembered than ideas passively heard. By strategically including questions and interactive moments throughout your speech, you transform ordinary communication into a dynamic, memorable experience. Mastering this skill ensures that those listening aren't just hearing words. They are thinking, connecting, and leaving with insights that truly stick. Step 7. Use body language effectively. When it comes to speaking so people truly listen, words are only part of the equation. A significant portion of communication is nonverbal, which means how you use your body can either strengthen your message or undermine it entirely. Effective body language reinforces your words, emphasizes key points, and creates a sense of connection and credibility. Poor or inconsistent gestures, slouched posture, or lack of eye contact can distract, confuse, or disengage those listening. On the other hand, confident, purposeful movements make your speech more persuasive, memorable, and impactful. Posture is one of the most fundamental aspects of body language. Standing tall with shoulders relaxed yet firm communicates authority, confidence, and readiness. Avoid slouching or leaning too heavily on one side, as these behaviors can signal uncertainty or lack of energy. Even subtle shifts in weight can convey confidence and engagement. A grounded, balanced posture helps not only in appearance but also in calming nerves and projecting a steady presence. Gestures are another critical tool. Hand movements, when used deliberately, emphasize important points and make abstract ideas tangible. For instance, spreading your hands can illustrate breadth or openness, while a pointed gesture can draw attention to a specific concept. Avoid fidgeting, repetitive motions, or crossing your arms, which can signal discomfort or defensiveness. Gestures should appear natural and complement your speech rather than distract from it. Facial expressions are equally powerful. Smiling at appropriate moments creates warmth and relatability, while raising eyebrows can signal curiosity or emphasis. Subtle changes in expression help convey emotion, highlight key points, and make your delivery more engaging. Maintaining eye contact establishes trust, shows attentiveness, and makes those listening feel acknowledged. It's not necessary to look at everyone at all times, but scanning naturally and holding brief eye contact with different individuals helps maintain connection and focus. Movement and spatial awareness also play a role. Purposeful movement across a stage, room, or speaking space can energize your delivery and keep attention. Avoid pacing nervously or wandering aimlessly, which can create distraction. Instead, use movement intentionally. Step forward to emphasize a key point, or pause to allow reflection. Small shifts can make your presence feel dynamic without being chaotic. Finally, consistency between verbal and nonverbal communication is crucial. If your words express enthusiasm but your posture, gestures, or tone convey uncertainty, listeners will pick up on the disconnect. Alignment between your body and speech enhances credibility, reinforces the message, and deepens engagement. By mastering body language, you add layers of clarity, emphasis, and emotional resonance to your words, transforming ordinary communication into a powerful and persuasive experience. Step 8. Simplify complex ideas. One of the biggest challenges in speaking effectively is conveying complex concepts in a way that is understandable and relatable. People tend to tune out when information feels overwhelming, technical, or abstract. Simplifying ideas doesn't mean dumbing down your content. It means translating it into language and examples that make it easy for anyone to grasp while retaining its depth and meaning. When you simplify effectively, you make your message accessible, memorable, and actionable, which dramatically increases the likelihood that people will listen, understand, and remember what you say. The first step in simplification is identifying the core message within a complex idea. Ask yourself, what is the one essential point I want others to understand? Once this central thought is clear, every supporting detail, explanation, or story should reinforce it. Avoid tangents or unnecessary technicalities that can confuse listeners. Focus on the essence, then build layers of understanding gradually. Breaking information into smaller, digestible parts makes even difficult concepts easier to follow. For example, when explaining a multi-step process, present it step by step, pausing between points to allow comprehension before moving forward. Analogies and metaphors are powerful tools for simplification. By comparing a new or complicated idea to something familiar, you help people visualize and understand concepts intuitively. For instance, explaining a network system by comparing it to a city's roadways or describing teamwork as an orchestra can make abstract ideas concrete. Storytelling can also simplify concepts by embedding them in real-life scenarios. Personal experiences, case studies, or hypothetical situations allow listeners to see the practical application of ideas and relate them to their own lives. Language choice is equally important. Avoid jargon, acronyms, or overly technical terms unless you are certain everyone listening understands them. Use short, clear sentences and everyday words. Pausing to explain key terms or providing brief examples can prevent confusion and keep engagement high. Structuring your speech logically, introducing concepts in a clear sequence and reinforcing connections also aids comprehension. Visual aids, charts, or simple diagrams can complement verbal explanations, making complex topics more tangible and easier to retain. Another important aspect is repetition and reinforcement. Restate the key message in slightly different ways, summarize important points at intervals, and emphasize the takeaway idea multiple times. Repetition helps embed understanding and ensures that even if listeners miss a detail, they still grasp the essence. Additionally, asking clarifying questions or checking for comprehension during the discussion ensures your simplification is effective and allows you to adjust as needed. Simplifying complex ideas also requires confidence and discipline. It is tempting to show expertise by diving deep into intricate details, but effective speakers resist this urge, focusing instead on making the message clear and actionable. By mastering the art of simplification, you transform complicated information into engaging, digestible, and impactful communication. Listeners feel empowered to understand, remember, and act on your ideas, which is the ultimate goal of speaking so people listen. Step 9. Practice and reflect. Speaking so people truly listen is not a talent reserved for a few. It is a skill developed through consistent practice and thoughtful reflection. Mastery comes not from a single presentation or speech, but from repeated efforts, evaluation, and refinement. Every time you speak, you have an opportunity to improve clarity, confidence, and impact. Practicing allows you to internalize your message, experiment with delivery, and anticipate challenges, while reflection ensures that you learn from each experience and adapt for better results in the future. The first element of practice is rehearsal. Rehearsing your speech or key talking points allows you to refine the structure, timing, and wording of your message. Practicing aloud, rather than silently in your mind, is critical because it helps you hear your tone, notice awkward phrasing, and gauge pacing. Recording yourself is even more effective. Playback reveals patterns in speech, filler words, or tendencies to rush through important points. This external feedback is invaluable because it provides an objective view of how others will perceive your delivery. Practicing with a trusted friend, colleague, or mentor also provides live feedback, simulating real-world conditions and allowing you to adjust in response to questions or reactions. Reflection is equally essential. After each speaking opportunity, take time to evaluate what went well and what could be improved. Did your listeners understand your key points? Were there moments where attention seemed to drift? Did your tone, gestures, and pace enhance or detract from your message? Honest assessment of your performance allows you to identify patterns and make strategic adjustments. Keeping a journal or notes about each experience can help track progress and highlight areas that need attention over time. Another crucial aspect of practice is improvisation and adaptability. Real-world speaking rarely goes exactly as planned. Unexpected questions, interruptions, or technical issues require quick thinking and flexibility. Practicing responses to potential challenges or rehearsing variations of key points prepares you to handle these situations confidently. The more familiar you are with your material and the more scenarios you rehearse, the more naturally you can adjust without losing composure or clarity. Mental preparation also plays a role. Visualization exercises, where you imagine delivering your speech successfully and connecting with listeners, can reduce anxiety and build confidence. Focused breathing or mindfulness techniques before speaking help maintain calm, centered energy, allowing your voice, gestures, and presence to convey assurance and authority. Finally, practicing and reflecting is a continuous cycle. Each experience, whether a success or a stumble, provides learning that informs future performances. By intentionally analyzing your communication style, experimenting with delivery techniques, and incorporating feedback, you steadily improve your ability to speak with clarity, confidence, and impact. Over time, this deliberate practice transforms speaking from a daunting task into a natural, persuasive skill. Mastering this step ensures that every speech, conversation, or presentation becomes an opportunity to refine your abilities, engage effectively, and leave a lasting impression. Practice and reflection are the engines that convert knowledge into mastery and words into influence. Step 10. Align words with action and authenticity. The final step in speaking so people truly listen is to ensure your words reflect authenticity and are aligned with action. People naturally detect inconsistency between what is said and what is demonstrated through behavior. No amount of eloquence can substitute for genuine integrity, and listeners are more likely to trust and engage with the speaker whose actions reinforce their words. Authenticity builds credibility, connection, and influence, creating an environment where your message is not just heard, but respected and acted upon. Authenticity begins with self-awareness. Understand your values, beliefs, and experiences, and speak from a place of honesty and conviction. Avoid repeating ideas you don't fully understand or subscribing to concepts that don't resonate with you personally. When you communicate from your true perspective, your passion, confidence, and sincerity become palpable. People are naturally drawn to speakers who exude genuine conviction, and this connection fosters deeper engagement. Conversely, insincerity, exaggeration, or overcomplication can quickly erode trust and disengage listeners. Aligning words with action is equally critical. Promises, recommendations, or lessons shared during communication are reinforced when your behavior mirrors them. For example, if you speak about the importance of teamwork, demonstrating collaboration, listening, and respect in your interactions shows that you practice what you preach. This alignment strengthens credibility and encourages those listening to take your advice seriously. Words paired with consistent action create a powerful feedback loop that amplifies the impact of your message. Transparency and vulnerability also contribute to authenticity. Admitting mistakes, sharing lessons learned, or acknowledging uncertainty humanizes you as a speaker and makes your message more relatable. People are more willing to listen when they see humility and honesty, rather than a facade of perfection. Strategic vulnerability does not weaken authority. Instead, it fosters trust and deepens the emotional connection, making your communication more persuasive and memorable. Another essential aspect of this step is consistency. Consistently applying the principles of clarity, confidence, engagement, and simplicity across all interactions reinforces your reliability as a communicator. The more consistent your behavior and message, the more people will pay attention to your words over time. This is especially important in professional or leadership contexts, where repeated exposure to authenticity strengthens influence and authority. Finally, continual alignment of words with action involves self-reflection and feedback. Observe how people respond to your message and adjust if necessary to ensure your communication reflects your intentions and values. The combination of preparation, genuine expression, and consistent behavior transforms speaking from mere information delivery into meaningful influence. By mastering this final step, you ensure that your words not only reach others, but resonate deeply, inspire trust, and motivate action. Authenticity and alignment are the ultimate keys to making your voice unforgettable and your message enduring. Finishing word: speak to be heard. Master the art of listening and influence. Mastering the art of speaking so people truly listen is more than memorizing techniques. It's about connection, clarity, and authenticity. From understanding those you communicate with, crafting a clear message, and speaking with confidence, to using stories, body language, and interactive engagement, every step builds towards influence. Simplifying complex ideas, practicing diligently, and aligning your words with genuine action ensures your message resonates and inspires trust. When you combine preparation, empathy, and authenticity, your voice becomes a powerful tool that commands attention, sparks action, and leaves a lasting impression. Remember, people don't just hear words, they feel them. Make every word count, and you won't just speak, you'll be remembered.